All right, welcome guys. Welcome back into my channel. This is Trev from Treversence, and this morning we are going to continue the reading of the book Taken at the Flood. It is an Agatha Christie novel, and for those of you who have been with me for the last few days, we have been reading this book. It is gearing up to be quite an interesting read. I have read it already, but I don't want to jinx it. I'll just pretend like it's the first time that I'm reading the book because I'm sharing the experience with you all. So, in this book, there are several characters in this book, but the most prominent characters at the moment are Rosalind and her brother David. Now, Rosalind is a young woman, 20 something years old, about 25 years old, who seems to be quite a lucky woman because her first husband died. She got a little bit of money from his pension. And then luckily, she ran into this 62-year-old multimillionaire and he married her. And shortly thereafter, he passed away. Now, this is where the whole story has a massive twist in it. Because after Rosalind's husband, Gordon Cloud, passes away, his family, his spoiled, entitled family members, are now having lots of financial problems, which they have always had. Now, their culture was that they were not taught to save, they were not taught to handle money properly, they were not taught to be financially responsible. All they knew that they did whatever they wanted with their money, and when they fell in a bind, they would call on their good old uncle or brother or cousin, whoever it was to them, Gordon Cloud, and he would not say no. He would always bail them out. If somebody did something to go to prison, he would bail them out. Somebody go into agriculture when they have absolutely no clue what they're doing, he'll give them money to start the business, and when it falls through, he would always be there for them, no matter what his family members wanted. Gordon Cloud was always there for them financially. And now that he's gone and he did not get a chance to revise his will, his family members are having a hard time. And now the hatred for his new wife is so palpable now. If I'm reading the story and I can touch the hatred, the hatred for her is so palpable, it's unbelievable. They are laughing in her face, they are smiling with her, but they hate her guts. When they talk about her, it's nothing nice. It's nothing nice. I talk about how she's not cultured, how her eyes are set together, how, that's almost saying like she is um developmentally challenged, because one of the features of people who are developmentally challenged is that they usually have the eyes either set too close or too far apart. And this is how they are describing Rosalind. But yet now they want money to borrow. And her brother David, he is on it. He is not leaving her. He thinks she's foolish when it comes to money. He thinks she's too soft. He thinks that if each one of them come and beg her £200 here, £500 there, she will just write a check and give it to them to pretend to be nice. But David is not having it. So now they're starting to say that David is probably not even her brother. He could probably be her man. I don't know how that is. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But we are going to continue reading as we try to figure out what is going on, because they hate Rosalind's guts. And I wouldn't be surprised. David has picked up on it because David had said to Rosalind that he thinks they would only love her if she was dead. And she's like, "Oh, don't say that. That's not nice." But David is saying that is the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, but you got to say it either way. So now we are moving on to chapter 8. Chapter 8 of Taken at the Flood by Agatha Christie. It was a week later that the 5:20 train drew into Wormsley Heath station, and a tall, bronzed man with a knapsack got out. On the opposite platform, a cluster of golfers were waiting for the up train. The tall, bearded man with the knapsack gave up his ticket and passed out of the station. He stood uncertainly for a minute or two. Then he saw the signpost, "Footpath to Wormsley Vale," and directed his steps that way with brisk determination. At Long Willow's Rowley Cloud had just finished making himself a cup of tea when a shadow falling across the kitchen table made him look up. It, if just for a moment he thought the girl standing just inside the door was Lynn, his disappointment turned to surprise when he saw that it was Rosalind Cloud. She was wearing a frock of some pleasant material in bright, broad stripes of orange and green, and artificial simplicity of which had run into more money than Rowley could ever have imagined possible. Up to now, he had always seen her dressed in expensive and somewhat tawny clothes, which she wore with an artificial air, much, he had thought, as a mannequin might display dresses that did not belong to her, but to the firm who employed her. This afternoon, in the broad peasant stripes of gay color, he seemed to see a new Rosalind Cloud. Her Irish origin was more noticeable. The dark, curly hair and the lovely blue eyes put in with a smutty finger. Her voice, too, had a softer Irish sound instead of the careful, rather mincing tones in which she usually spoke. "It's such a lovely afternoon," she said. "So I came for a walk," she added. "David's gone to London." She said it almost guiltily, then flushed and took a cigarette case out of her bag. She offered one to Rowley, who shook his head, then looked round for a match to light Rosalind's cigarette. But she was flicking unsuccessfully at an expensive-looking small gold lighter. Rowley took it from her, and with one sharp movement it lit. As she bent her head towards him to light her cigarette, he noticed how long and dark the lashes were that lay on her cheek, and he thought to himself, old Gordon knew what he was doing. Rosalind stepped back a pace and said admiringly, that's a lovely little heifer you have got in the top field." Astonished by her interest, Rowley began to talk to her about the farm. Her interest surprised him, but it was obviously genuine and not put on, and to his surprise, he found that she was quite knowledgeable on farm matters. Butter making and dairy produce she spoke of with familiarity. "Why, you might be a farmer's wife, Rosalind," he said, smiling. The animation went out of her face. She said, "We had a farm in Ireland before I came over here, you know. Before. Went on the stage." She said wistfully and a trifle, it seems to him, guiltily. "It's not so very long ago. I remember it all very, very well." She added with a flash of spirit, "I could milk your cows for you, Rowley. Now." This was quite a new Rosalind. Would David Hunter have approved these casual references to a farming past? Rowley thought not. Old Irish landed gentry, that was the impression David tried to put over. Rosalind's version, he thought, was nearer to the truth. Primitive farm life, then the lure of the stage, the touring company to South Africa, marriage, isolation in Central Africa, escape, hiatus, and finally marriage to a millionaire in New York. Yes, Rosalind Hunter had traveled a long way since milking a Kerry cow. Yet, looking at her, he found it hard to believe that she had ever started. Her face had that innocent, slightly half-witted expression. the face of one who has no history. Servant David, how are you doing, my brother? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, my brother. It's always a pleasure. And she looked so young, much younger than her 26 years. There was something appealing about her. She had the same pathetic quality as the little calves he had driven to the butcher that morning. He looked at her as he had looked at them. Poor little devils, he had thought. A pity that they had to be killed. A look of alarm came into Rosalind's eyes. She asked uneasily, "What are you thinking of, Rowley? Would you like to see over the farm and the dairy?" "Oh, indeed, I would." Amused by her interest, he took her all over the farm. But when he finally suggested making her a cup of tea, an alarmed expression came into her eyes. "Oh, no, thank you, Rowley. I'd best be getting home." She looked down at her watch. "Oh, how late it is. David will be back by train at 5:30. He'll wonder where I am. I must hurry now, Rowley," she added shyly. "I have enjoyed myself, Rowley." And that, he thought, was true. She had enjoyed herself. She had been able to be natural, to be her own raw, unsophisticated self. She was afraid of her brother David. That was clear. David was the brains of the family. Well, for once, she had had an afternoon out. Yes, that was it. An afternoon out, just like a servant. The rich Mrs. Gordon Cloud. He smiled grimly as he stood by the gate watching her hurry up the hill towards Furrobank. Just before she reached the still, a man came over it. Rowley wondered if it was David, but it was a bigger, heavier man. Rosalind drew back to let him pass, then skipped lightly over the stile, her face accentuating almost to a run. Yes, she had had an afternoon out, and he, Rowley, had wasted over an half of a valuable time, had wasted over an hour of valuable time. Well, perhaps it hadn't been wasted after all. Rosalind, he thought, had seemed to like him. That might come in useful. A pretty thing, yes. And the calves this morning had been pretty. Poor little devils. You all see what's happening here? If Rosalind is liking Rowley as Rowley is thinking. Remember Lynn, the one that's going to marry to Rowley? She is also liking David. So what is going on here? We will continue to read and try to find out. Standing there, lost in thought, he was startled by a voice and raised his head sharply. A big man in a broad felt hat with a pack slung across his shoulders was standing on the footpath at the other side of the gate. "Is this the way to Wormsley Vale?" As Rowley stared, he repeated his question. With an effort, Rowley recalled his thoughts and answered, "Yes, keep right along the path, across that next field. Turn to the left when you get to the road, and about 3 minutes takes you right into the village." In the self-same words, he had answered that particular question several hundred times. People took the footpath on leaving the station, followed it up over the hill, and lost faith in it as they came down the other side and saw no sign of their destination. For Blackwell Corpse, Mask Wormsley Vale was from for Blackwell Corpse, Mask Wormsley Vale from sight. It was tucked away in a hollow there, with only the tip of its church tower showing. The next question was not quite so usual, but Rowley answered it without much thought. The Stag or the Bells and Mutley, the Stag for choice. They're both equally good or bad. I should think you'd get a room all right. The question made him look more attentively at his interlocutor. Let me know a word. I'm gonna have my other phone. Interlocutor. All right, I'm gonna mark that because we're gonna check it out later. Nowadays, people usually booked a room beforehand at any place they were going to. The man was tall, with a bronze face, a beard, and very blue eyes. He was about 40 and not ill-looking, in a tough and rough daredevil style. It was not, perhaps, a wholly pleasant face. Come from overseas somewhere, thought Rowley. Was was there or was there not a faint colonial twang in his accent? Curious in some way, the face was not unfamiliar. Where had he seen that face, or a face very much like it before? Whilst he was puzzling unsuccessfully over that problem, the stranger startled him by asking, "Can you tell me if there is a house called Furrobank near here?" Rowley answered slowly, "Why, yes, up there on the hill. You must have passed close by it. That is, if you have come along the footpath from the station." "Yes, that's what I did." He turned, staring up the hill. "So that was it? That big, white, new-looking house?" "Yes, that's the one. A big place to run," said the man. "Must cost a lot to keep up." "A devil of a lot," thought Rowley, "and our money." A stirring of anger made him forget for the moment where he was. With a start, he came back to himself to see the stranger staring up the hill with a curious, speculative look in his eyes. "Who lives there?" he asked. "Is it Mrs. Cloud?" "That's right," said Rowley. "Mrs. Gordon Cloud." The stranger raised his eyebrows. He seemed gently amused. "Oh," he said, "Mrs. Gordon Cloud. Very nice for her." Then he got a short nod. "Thanks, pal," he said, and shifting the pack he carried, he strode on towards Wormsley Vale. Rowley turned slowly back into the farmyard. His mind was still puzzling over something. Where the devil had he seen that fellow before? About 9:30 that night, Rowley pushed aside a heap of forms that had been littering the kitchen table and got up. He looked absent-mindedly at the photograph of Lynn that stood on the mantelpiece. Then, frowning, he went out of the house. 10 minutes later, he pushed open the door of the Stag Salon bar. Beatrice Lippincott, behind the bar counter, smiled welcome at him. Mr. Rowley Cloud, she thought, was a fine figure of a man. Over a pint of bitters, Rowley exchanged the usual observations with the company present. Unfavorable comment was made upon the government, the weather, and sundry particular crops. Presently, moving up a little, Rowley was able to address Beatrice in a quiet voice. "Got a stranger staying here? Big man? Slouch hat?" "That's right, Mr. Rowley. Came along about 6 o'clock." "That's the one you mean?" Rowley nodded. "He passed by my place. Asked his way." "That's right. Seems a stranger." "I wonder," said Rowley, "who is he?" He looked at Beatrice and smiled. Beatrice smiled back. "That's easy, Mr. Rowley, if you'd like to know." She dipped under the bar and out to return with a fat leather volume wherein were registered the arrivals. She opened it at the page showing the most recent entries. The last of these ran as follows: Enoch Arden, Cape Town, British. Okay, so I think that is probably the name of the man who just came, to see Rosalind, because the man is going up to Wormsley Vale, and that's where Rosalind lives. That's the big mansion that her husband died and left for her. So, who is this man? I don't know if it is Rosalind, sweetheart, if it's Rosalind. I don't know. But we are going to figure it out when we come back tomorrow and read chapter 9 of the book, Taken at the Flood. Now, you hear how Rowley say, as soon as he spoke to the man about the big white house, you hear how he say, oh, our money. Because in his mind, the money, all the money that Gordon Cloud died and left is supposed to be for them. It was not supposed to be for his widow. And we find that happening even in today's society. You work hard and you have something and you die. And because your family don't like your husband or they don't like your wife, they think that everything that you die and leave is supposed to be for them. No wife and no husband are supposed to come in and come take anything. And this was the same mentality back in the day. That is why, as we have been reading the Bible, they always be marrying their uncle, their auntie, yes, because they don't want their wealth to be scattered abroad. They want their wealth to remain in the family. And also we see where a lot of people fight off each other, slay each other over dead left land, over dead left house, dead left money, dead left car, always. But nobody has ever slain anyone because they are fighting over the dead left debts. Never. They never fight over the dead left debt. They never fight over who go and bury the person. Uh-uh. They never fight like that. But they will fight over anything your dead left. And when you were alive, them wouldn't even care upon you. But once you die, them come out and a fight for your two little pardon where you work hard for. But that is where it's going to be ending this morning, guys. I want to say thanks to you all for coming into the live. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. If you came into the live this morning and you did not hit the like button before you come in, please hit it on your way out. Now, what can I say? It's almost 9:15 in the morning, and I have done 3 lives already. Honestly, say, may I go on with myself? Yes. For house them I look for. Why am I come and I take picture of people house? How him? How am I take picture of my neighbor house? How him? Anyway, me I knows itself. Yes, and yes, Tisha, yes. People not fight for the death, them not fight for burial, them not fight for nothing else. When you're alive, them don't fight for love you. Eh, when you oh look like oh look like you might deliver DoorDash groceries. Yeah, you understand? But as soon as you pass away, everybody come, they want to come fight for the two little sitting where you're dead left. Where my God bless her them? The neighbor them not did it. Them not just drive all look like them on vacation. Oh, I don't know, me nosy, Peeping. I know peeping Tom, a peeping Trev. Did somebody answer to you? Did somebody answer? Okay. Let me see. I mean, I know it's self though. But anyway, yeah, me nosy. I have to be nosy. Anyway, gentle people. That's going to be the end of this reading for this morning. Sorry for the interjection, because me sit down right here so out in the morning. Out here so still sun and me care, so me see what's going on in the neighborhood. Me is like my grandmother. Me tell you no, my grandmother always sit down on her veranda. She see every single person. If you walk through middle street, I see you many time of the day. Miss Nita see you. So once me sit down with you, so me care, me see everything. But anyway, guys, there is a thin line between being observant and being nosy. You are welcome, David. It was my absolute pleasure reading for you guys. Tomorrow morning, we're going to continue the reading of this book, Taken by the Flood, and we will also continue with the reading of the Bible tomorrow morning. But for right now, guys, is going on right now in mind, but we leave it to the one who think all belongs to him. Yes, what I mean, Letitia? Exactly, exactly. May have two people fight. People will kill you over dead left. Me say these people are not easy. And nowadays, the funny thing about it, you see the one them who no one figure work, no one to have nothing for themselves. They are the ones who always quick to fight. And you will see, you will come where you come America and you work, and if you send back money, see if you send back money, go build up house in Jamaica. Build up house for family land. Build up house. Remember, I used to work with this girl in Florida about 20 years ago. We used to work with this girl in Florida. And let me tell you, so the girl could have work, man. She work, she work, she work, she work. And every penny she work, she send you to Jamaica. She send you to Jamaica, go build up house. Every penny she work, she say a family house. And when she go to Jamaica, she want to have a nice house. She go to Jamaica too. And she build up at them time the Airbnb, nothing not going about Airbnb. She just wanted to make sure that she have one nice house when she go back to Jamaica. And so she build up the house. And me say, the woman go to Jamaica on vacation and then kill the woman. And our family them set up to kill her when the house just about done. Roof upon it, the house just about was finished. You understand? And then kill the woman for the house. And as the America yesterday work like a horse. She don't buy herself a cup of coffee. Every money she have, she send her Jamaica to go build the house. And as she go down there to go enjoy the house, she go down to go look on the house, see how the house done and all these things. Our generation, them take our life. You understand? All day long. All day long. My grandmother, my father dead 40. My father dead from me at 8 years old. How much that now? 45 years now, what 5 years that now my father dead. And and all of my father dead left. He owes them. My grandmother take care of them until she passed away. And my grandmother, according to them, they say my grandmother left no will. My grandmother left no will. So one whole heap of Tangaranga. Yes, one I know Tangaranga. Cause any time me did have 6'6". Or them born me or whatever. Me not fight over no go back to Jamaica. People they American they have house. They have house America and they live in a house America. And then still I go back to Jamaica go fight over some old dead left whole land, some dead left whole house and something. To make people kill them off down the whole land and whole house. Must be crazy. No. Not do that. If you're up here and God bless you and you have one house up here, you have a house up here, you have a house over your head. You can't live in a more than one house at the same time. When you're Jamaica and when you go to Jamaica, go a hotel. Go a hotel. Because very, very few family members you can't trust. And trust me, nowadays you can't trust anybody because they sit down and wait. Mr. Tisha, sit down and waiting pan dead left instead of go work and have their own. They don't want to. The same thing I go on at the book here. So these people were never taught to care money. They were never taught to work. They were always spoiled. So them sit down morning, noon, and night and wait upon their Uncle Garden Cloud for take care of them, bail them out, give them free money. And he had put in the will that even if he died, they were all supposed to continue getting their allowance every month. The only problem was that if he ever married, that's the only thing that would change the terms of his will. And lo and behold, he married, and before he could change the will, Braps him dead. Braps him dead. And with him having died, his wife now have everything. His wife is now responsible for everything. And that caused the hatred in the family member them to be growing more and more and more potent. The hatred in them just rise up more and more. So you understand. I tell you. I tell you, my friends. I don't know what say in the name of Jesus. May I cut the yard before I go sleep. I don't know say may I cut the yard before I go sleep though. Yeah. May I go peel the mango here and eat it. You know, the mango will give me a little energy. The mango is going to give me some energy. And then me I go in and get one sit. Now yesterday me wash my ear. Me now think me want to wash it raw today. Pardon me language, gentle people. The mango so hell over. The mango so big. Me have been a me and I try peel and it tumble down. I mean I want to drop because if you ever drop on the car floor, me no know me manage. Me that must cry. I mean I eat you off of the car floor, no matter how me love you, no matter how me hungry. Me I eat you off of the floor of the car. When me walk up and down in a hospital in a pee pee and blood and all kind of shit and come in at the car. Me could have never eat off of the car floor. For me no mad snotty. Ooh. All right, see there. Yes, Tisha, really and truly and really, my sister. I have to cut the yard. Me can't wait till tomorrow. Mm-mm. Me cut the yard, then go water fresh, go on my bed, sleep for about. Me I sleep till me wake up. Then also you lay down, you sleep, and once you wake up, me as well you get up. Yeah, cause that means you have slept enough already. Mm-hmm. So really and truly, my sister, truly and really. If tomorrow come, if tomorrow come, if tomorrow never come. Mm-mm-mm. No, sir. One can't tap the mango, yeah. Lord, the mango nice. Let's see what I want to say this. So. I'm just eat the mango. Good thing, so me always keep one little knife in my car. Guys, I'm just eating this mango so I get energy. I'm gonna cut the yard. All of my neighbor them yard cut only for me not cut yet. Yeah, yeah. Tisha said, oh, me I eat mango so early. Tisha, me eat mango first thing in the morning or last thing in the night. Mm-hmm. Mango is one fruit. Yeah, me I chop it, right? Mm-mm-mm. I tell you. Boy, guys, the mango nice. The meat firm. The meat very firm. Mm-mm-mm. I'm sorry, guys. What's mango nice? All right, I'm sorry. My Lord. The son of one mukbang. All right. The mango coming like stolen bread. It is pleasurable. What am I gonna do with them, my sister? What am I gonna do with them? Yeah, man, it's pleasurable for you. Lord, the mango nice. But me say the one mango make my belly full and stiff like what? Watch you know. Watch you know. Watch I'm a phone they shut off. Me not even see some phone that have no charge. Mm? Me not even see some phone that have no charge. It is shutting off. The mango really does come in like stolen bread for you. Lord have mercy. But guys, my gone. My phone have no charge. Yeah, my God. When you see me again in the next few minutes, when you see me again in the next few minutes, I gotta cut the yard. So yeah, got to do what I got to do, yeah. No nobody to do it for me. So I have to do it. So I have to cut the yard because tomorrow I'm gonna be busy. Day after that I'm gonna be busy. Day after that very, very busy. So if me not cut it today, it not go cut again. until next week. I'm in a rush to get back to work tomorrow. All right, so I'm gone, guys. I will see you all in the next few minutes. Okay? Have yourselves a great day, everybody. See you all later, guys. Destruction of the poor.